Hustlers is proudly brought to you by NAMDEB Diamond Corporation.
Good today, better tomorrow.
That's exactly what we are all about. Good today, better tomorrow. It's time for our daily grind at Royal Hustle. Tuesdays and Thursdays dedicated to Namibian Royal Hustlers. And we are featuring the CEO of NAMDEB today. Riaan Burger took on the reins of the NAMDEB Diamond Corporation as Chief Executive Officer in 2017. A mechanical engineer by profession, he holds an executive MBA from the University of Stellenbosch Business School. Burger has been with NAMDEB for 26 years with extensive experience ranging from general management, leading long-term strategic projects, developing new mining methods, as well as leading change. Before taking up the position of CEO, he worked at the company as the Chief Operating Officer since 2011. We had the opportunity to speak to Mr. Riaan Burger to tell us a little bit about his story. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out.
Good day, listeners, and thank you very much for the opportunity to join you today.
Thank you so much once again. Let's start at the very beginning of your story. What kind of childhood did you have, and what kind of a kid were you?
Yeah, as a child, I grew up mostly here in Windhoek. I went to school, both my primary and my secondary school in Windhoek. I was also privileged to spend quite a bit of time on my grandfather's farm, so really grew up loving the outdoors. We had lots of family holidays. Both my parents were teachers and spent all their lives in the education world. So we had school holidays. My parents also normally had longish holidays, and it was also always nice as a family to spend time also at the coastline. Spent quite a bit of my childhood and Swakop Montentes Bay, quite a bit of fishing. So I grew up very much here in Windhoek on the farm, a little bit at the coast. And I think as a child I loved to play sports, cricket, rugby, played a bit of tennis. I had lots of hobbies, played a little bit of golf. But my main hobby was actually in aircraft. I just wanted to build little model airplanes, and everything that could fly interested me. So really always dreamed of being an engineer when I grew up.
Speaking of dreams, while growing up on the coastline of Namibia, what kind of dreams did you really have as a child of what you could become someday?
Probably my biggest dream as a child was to go into aviation. I really loved airplanes. I loved the idea of flying. But I didn't only want to be a pilot. I wanted to build airplanes. And I played around with model airplanes, tried to build radio-controlled aircraft. Always here in Windhoek, when I went past the airport, I would stop by there at the bridge near Pioneers Park Academia. I would stand on the bridge, watch the airplanes take off and land, and I was actually completely fascinated by aviation and airplanes. And so subsequently, when I left school, I went to study engineering at the University of Stellenbosch. And my biggest ambition was to then go into the world of aviation. And I then did, actually, right after independence. Once I finished my studies, I came back to Namibia, and I started off in aviation. Actually started with Air Namibia back then, and spent a wonderful 4 years in the aviation industry. I also learned to fly after school. And I'm still passionate about aviation. But some stage during my younger working life, I also realized that I've got other interests. At some stage, I didn't see the career opportunities for me really in aviation. And then I went to mining. And 26 years ago, I joined NAMDEB, and I've been there ever since. I've been absolutely loving my time at NAMDEB. It has been quite an adventure for me. maybe it wasn't my dream when I was a child to be in mining, but I must say it is one of those things that over time you realize that your dream as a child maybe wasn't what you were meant to do. So I've been absolutely loving my time at NAMDEB.
Let's talk about some of the life lessons, maybe from your parents or elders, that have helped shape who you are today.
I had a lot of lessons from my parents and other people. As I said, both my parents were teachers, and my dad was always fascinated by the world. He's a typical scientist, and he could spend hours talking to me about events in the world, about the history of the world, about science, about how things work. And even now, he's turning 80 this year. He's absolutely still intrigued by things in the world, and I absolutely love that about him. And similar, my mother, she studied all of her life. A teacher, ended up later teaching teachers at UNAM. So they were both academics, and what they also taught me in my life is that your entire life is a learning process. You never stop learning. We learn different things, we learn different skills, but we should never stop learning. And I really, that is an incredible lesson that my parents taught me over the years. And my dad always had a saying. He said, something worth doing is worth doing well. And I think that is such an incredible motto. There are so many people, I think, in the world that just kind of go along with the world rather than be passionate. And life is too short not to be passionate about something. If you do something, throw your heart into it. If you don't like what you're doing, just quit and do something else. If you are doing something, it doesn't matter what you're doing in that world. You should be passionate about it. And I think that's probably, that approach to the world has really shaped me to a large extent.
How's about as a young man growing up? A side hustle is so much more important today than it ever was before. Did you ever have a side hustle while growing up? And if you did, then what was it?
The side hustle. Look, I must admit that I've never been that interested in money. Now that might sound a bit funny, but I understand money more as a means to an end. So I would never do something that I'm not passionate about. I was fortunate enough in life, I think, that I could always make a living by doing stuff I really enjoyed. As a child, I was just trying to get money together to build little radio control airplanes, and that's probably my only side hustle I had. Whatever I could scrape together, see what little bit of money I could get, and buy balsa wood and try to build another little model airplane. So that's about the extent of the side hustles I've had as a youngster. And I think beyond that, once I've entered the world of business, I was so passionate, and involved in what I was doing on my day job that I really didn't do a side hustle. I think in my life I've enjoyed my job. I've thrown my energy, my passion into work most of the time, to be honest.
And mostly come up successful while you were at it. How has your idea of success changed over the course of your life?
Yes, my idea of success has definitely changed. I think when I was young, just out of university, I obviously wanted to make a bit of money, and again, I probably wanted to make money in order to fly. That was probably more of a focus than anything else. So success for me was to make enough out of my little salary, get the right connections and so forth, so I can enjoy flying and being in aviation. And then I think over time, entering the mining industry, I went into management, and I actually started enjoying it. I started really enjoying working with people. And I think early in my career, I really wanted to climb the corporate ladder, and I think at a stage I I thought the higher you would be in a corporate environment, the more successful you would be. But I think that's changed for me quite a lot in the latter part of my career. I think success for me now, the last 10 years or so, probably a bit more than that, it's got really more to do with joint achievement and legacy. And that's what I feel has happened really for me and for my leadership team at NAMDEB in the last 10 years or so. I think we really believe that the work we are doing leads to a legacy we will leave behind, and that we will make a significant change in people's lives, not only in the organization we work for, but we think we can make a difference in our communities and really in Namibia as a whole. And that contribution, that meaning of our work, I think is really what I now feel is success. And it's not something that's individual, it's something that we work together as a team. So success has really changed for me over time, from an individual thing to one that is done with others, and joint successes, I think, for me has become very important.
Let's talk this giant of an organization which you are leading. How have you grown as an individual during your time at NAMDEB?
I have spent 26 years of my life, most of my working career has been at NAMDEB, virtually all of it. And it's been an incredible company for me to grow in. I came there, as I said, 26 years ago as a young junior engineer with no leadership experience. I was thrown a bit into the deep end. I had to learn everything about the mining industry. I suddenly had a team reporting to me, and I suddenly had to start to understand what management's all about, how the mining systems worked. And rapidly I realized that a lot of the skills I thought I had were really not relevant. And I learned so much from the people who were actually working for me. If often in the mining industry, our young qualified engineers walk in, and then we've got very experienced foremen that report to us. And I was in that boat, and I was in my 20s, and my foremen were in their 50s, late 40s and 50s, and they've probably, from a pure leadership perspective, had a lot of skills that I didn't have. And I think what really helped me in my early years at NAMDEB is not to be arrogant, to understand that I didn't have those skills, and to observe other people and to learn from them. And as I said, I actually learned from those foremen that reported to me, and I've got tremendous respect for those foremen and frontline supervisors that operate in our business and other businesses, for what they deal with every day, the type of work that they do. And I think that shaped me early in my career. And then I think over time I've had a lot of incredible opportunities at NAMDEB. I attended several leadership programs. I learned from incredible other leaders in the organization. And that has really helped me to grow my leadership skills and my leadership style. And I think I went from a fairly young, arrogant engineer where I thought I knew everything to a leader that understands that the people who are around me, my team, are really incredibly capable, talented people, and my role is really to enable them, to give them the right environment, and then to just help them to be the best they can be, rather than to try and steer and direct them, because they don't need them. They're absolutely capable and talented leaders, each of them. So I think I've grown substantially in that leadership style, and also my understanding of what works in an organization, what doesn't work when you are leading people. It's been really an incredible journey for me.
Tell us about what exciting and interesting projects are happening at NAMDEB at the moment.
NAMDEB is actually the place to be if you are interested in projects. We are doing some really incredible things and have been doing some really incredible research the last couple of years, in particular on the geology of the shallow marine area. What we realized is that our diamonds extend further offshore, and a lot of the work that our geologists have done is to be able to firstly to develop the technology to do the geophysical surveys in the shallow marine area, and then also the work that our geologists have done on the science that sits behind that. That's resulted in a number of PhD studies at NAMDEB, but we are now to a much higher level of confidence able to predict the mineral resource, the diamonds, in that shallow marine environment. And that has allowed us to then start a process called accretion. We started it about 10 years ago, but we really only developed it to its full extent in the last 2-3 years, where we actually accrete the seawall. We literally move the entire beach further into the sea, and there are areas of our mine that we've moved the beach by more than 500 meters deeper into the ocean already, which then allows us to mine those diamonds that were previously underwater. We create a pond and we dry that out, like a dry dock, and then we mine that area which was previously under the sea. So that has been quite an incredible journey the last couple of years, and we've really now, we believe, perfected that methodology and scaled it up, which is really creating a different potential future for NAMDEB. And on top of that, we've done a lot of work in terms of technology with our bedrock cleaning process, mechanization of that, brought in surface miner equipment, so made significant strides in that domain. We also continue to look at opportunities along the Orange River. There are a number of remaining mineral deposits there, diamond deposits, that are of interest, and we are confident that we can extend the life of the mining operations along the Orange River by exploiting those opportunities. So a number of those projects are in progress. We also do continuous improvement projects. We are currently actually looking at the upgrade of our number 3 plant, which is our main processing plant, to build a new front end, for instance, for that plant, and a number of other projects that we are looking at for operational efficiency. We actually have a dedicated projects department, and that's really what they keep themselves busy with. There are always a number of those projects that are in progress, and it's a really exciting time to be at NAMDEB.
That really does sound exciting, and so many more opportunities as well as potential being presented there. Just one last question before we let you go. The future of NAMDEB looks very bright. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you see for the company?
Well, as you and the listeners might know, that a couple of years ago we said that NAMDEB only has 3 years of operation remaining. In terms of the business plan, as we had it in the past, our life of mine, as we call it, would have come to an end at the end of 2022. But at the same time, we've always said that we continue to look at these other opportunities, in particular our extension into the shallow marine environment. And I'm happy to say that we've made a lot of progress with that. The projects that we have been running have been successful, and we've worked with our shareholders and stakeholders to look at a new business plan. So yes, there's still a lot of exciting things to come from NAMDEB, and I think all I can say is watch this space. We'll still be talking about NAMDEB for a long time to come.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story with us, and of course as well as the future and the story of NAMDEB. Thank you once again for joining us, Riaan.
So thank you very much for having me on your show today, and a special thanks to all the listeners who have tuned in today.
Great stuff. That was the voice of Riaan Burger, the CEO of NAMDEB, who took on the reins of the NAMDEB Diamond Corporation as CEO in 2017. Check this out in the Fly West Air magazine, in Flight magazine, and of course to catch up with it on our social media platforms and as podcasts on our website. That's a wrap of your Royal Hustle this morning. Do stay tuned for so much more on 99.